create amazing processes, and hire the best people. Those are the foundational points which have really led to Jamie White's success in his business called Brand Partnerships. Welcome to the session, Jamie. Great to have you on board. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Nice to be involved, and yeah, very pleased to share some information which could be really useful to others.
Amazing stuff. Let's get straight into it then, my friend. Let's start off by you telling us a bit about your business and the kind of services you provide.
Sure. So, at the heart of what we do, we're a matchmaking platform and ecosystem for business partnerships. So, think dating platform, but for business. So, brands add specific strategic goals or objectives, and they're matched with either other brands. So for sort of brand to brand collaborations, which is a hugely growing part of the industry, as well as traditional partner discovery for vendors. So, they could be SEO, PPC, influencer marketing. In fact, there's a list of over 60 in the platform. And by avoiding going to perhaps Google or to LinkedIn to maybe find partnership opportunities, this is a much quick and easy way to save time on finding those great partnerships.
Sounds amazing. And it's probably building partnerships is probably one of the key catalysts to growing a business, right? We can go out there and try and hunt for business cold, but when you've got partnerships with somebody that shares the same values as what you do, in that matchmaking process leads to better growth, right?
100%, yes. I think it's really easy to be bogged down with the challenges of finding partners. And most of the feedback we get from businesses is that if they head to somewhere like Google, they'll be met with people who are either paying for those ads at the top of the space or those that are really good at SEO. And actually, partner discovery needs to be much quicker and easier than it currently is. Most people are spending 35, 40% of their time every week on partner discovery in some form or another, and that time could be better spent actually developing relationships with potential partners. So we believe that the service is influential in helping to bring that time down and make it a much easier and quicker process, ultimately helping brands or businesses to align to their goals and achieve those over the course of the year.
Amazing. It's quite a niche you're in right now. We've all heard of dating platforms. This is kind of matchmaking for businesses. And so where did the inspiration come from to create or innovate such a platform?
Sure, I'd love to take credit for this, but actually it's our chief strategy officer, Cara, who actually is the brains of our particular business, who came up with this idea and concept. So this is a couple of years ago. I've been involved in the business full time since middle of last year, and so we complement each other really well. But her initial idea surrounding this as a ecosystem and platform to really help and support brand partnerships or traditional partner discovery is absolutely down to her. So we complement each other in terms of her ability to be able to be a visionary and think about what is a space in the market, and I bring some of the organizational characteristics to the CEO role.
Awesome and very honorable for you to give the credit to your business partner over there. But let's focus on your specialities. I mean, before we started this video podcast, you mentioned some very important words: people and process. One can't do without the other, and it's so important that they work really, really well. So tell us, maybe explain to business owners that are listening to this video podcast why paying attention to the people and process is so important. And maybe at the same time, could you share a couple of tips of how to create processes in businesses?
Sure. Yeah, as we talked about just before this, I was from a traditional sort of business background. I worked in the recruitment sector right up until 2015 and joined a high growth technology and marketing platform called Student Beans. And so I was introduced to a number of processes which were at the time entirely alien. I was used to working just purely sort of email in terms of communication, or using a pad and paper for notes and things. But actually, what I was introduced to was a number of different processes which just made the communication, as an example, around the business much simpler. So things like Slack, Asana for projects, Notion for document storage, and us having at the time, a very clear direction as to how we communicate or how we deal with certain processes. And so that was a huge learning curve in 2015. It helped the business undoubtedly to scale from 25, 26 people when I joined to over 300 when I left in 2021.
Wow.
So enormous growth over that period. And the processes were arguably one of the contributing factors, because rather than, if we look at maybe sort of business development or lead generation, is that often you go by maybe a list of data, but actually drilling into that data in a way that allows you to understand, okay, who's your ideal customer profile, where are they located, what are their job titles, what are their sort of buying indicators, how much sort of research can we do? was a huge factor in winning some both national and international accounts, and that then contributed towards the growth of the business. So those processes were, I mean, fundamentally such an important
Mm.
area. And I think for any business owner that perhaps doesn't have things in place, is to perhaps look at, okay, what could be made easier, what could be better in terms of maybe that sort of process, and consider using technology as a route to get to that.
Amazing. Almost like a bit like what McDonald's did. They kind of took the process of making burgers and kind of made it into a multi-billion pound industry around the world. And you probably find McDonald's on almost every high street we're at right now.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. And funny mention McDonald's. They were a client of Student Beans back in the day. They were a company that I'd won as a part of that business development function, and it took me back to when I was a crew member at the local store to where I lived when I was at college. So they were very close to my heart because I wanted to go and win them as a customer. And but you're absolutely right there. That attention to detail. So whether you're going to Romford or Rome or anywhere else in the world, you get the same level of service and attention to detail in terms of their product delivery.
Yeah, sounds amazing. And hey, look, but without the people, the processes can't run themselves, unfortunately, to a certain extent anyway. So talk to us a bit about how you've made some really great hiring decisions or people decisions during your experiences both in this business and previous ones. What are the 3 tips you can share around people decisions?
Yeah, I mean, the first one is identifying what the hiring requirement is and what is the
Mm,
objective of that person. So, so whether it's someone in the account management team or business development or an engineer, it's what are they there to do and what is the alignment and the dots joined between that person starting and the company goals within the business. So, look at the the short term, medium term, and long term goals of the business, and does that person contribute to that in some meaningful way? So that's the
mm,
first thing. Is it a hire that's required? I think in the current economic climate, that's probably more important than ever. Secondly, is having a robust recruitment process. So at Student Beans, it was something I learned on very early on, that previously I'd had some exposure to working with profiling of candidates. So you could look at certain characteristics and they would either suit or not suit a particular role. And
mm,
one thing that the business was very good, and something I've learned from, and certainly we apply today, is making sure that the people who are great at account management are suited to account management roles and perhaps not new business, or those that are suited to a particular part of the like product suite are they are actually aligned to that particular delivery. So that's an area that is really important. And thirdly, it's not just the hiring, it's actually the life cycle of the person in the business, and
mm.
making sure they feel safe, comfortable, and able to share with the rest of the business any thoughts, ideas, concerns, and it's an environment that they feel really comfortable in doing so. I think it's really easy to just assume that people would share that information, but actually, to create an environment that allows them to be really open with the business about what their thoughts and feelings are around a certain topic.
Such an important point, the last one. I mean, all of them are, but helping your existing assets flourish to a certain extent. Your team members share and not help them feel siloed, which could be their default way of thinking.
100%.
Obviously, most human beings could think, I've just got to do my job, but helping them think, do you know what, part of your job is to also share and all that stuff. And the creative ones will really stand out, isn't it?
Yes,
Absolutely. But running out of time, but I'll have to squeeze in one quick question if I may.
sure.
And that is, well, looking ahead into the future, for the next 11 months, say, until the end of 2024, say business owner or part of the leadership team, what would you say are top 2 challenges you feel that you may be facing as you continue your growth journey?
Yeah, I think our challenges in the next 11 months will be around scaling the business. I think we've got some really ambitious plans, both in terms of product iteration and scaling in terms of personnel, and what we do in the next sort of year or so will be fundamental to the growth trajectory, both this year and into subsequent years. I think one of the challenges potentially might be that we try and accomplish too much, and I think that's really easy in business to try and attack too many projects at once, and
Mm,
actually you end up doing less than you would do if you were doing lesser things. One thing we've done to try and mitigate that is by having an annual planning session, which we did in December and early January. And we'll have a quarterly planning session at the end of every quarter to look at what are the most important things. So we identify maybe 3 to 5 distinct projects that we want to accomplish over the course of the next 3 months, and we work on accomplishing those. And anything outside of that, which is not aligned to the business's goals over the course of the rest of the year, probably has to take a back seat. We are approached like most businesses by lots of different opportunities. Try this bit of tech or try this service, and actually, it's very easy to be kind of guided by the next shiny thing, but actually our goal is to try and keep, or our objective is to try and keep true to the objectives of the business in that particular quarter. So that's something which I would strongly recommend business owners do as well. And the other one is probably finding the right people. We've got a clear roadmap of personnel hires this year. They will also include maybe engineering and possibly into marketing. But again, I go back to my earlier point. Does that person, does that part of the business need that hire right now, and when is the right time to do that? So they're probably the 2 areas that we will want to focus on this year.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, Jamie, thank you very much for your time. You've shared some really good information and nuggets and ideas to think about for people listening on here today. And
Great.
maybe you've added value this afternoon to them. Once again, thank you for your time. Hopefully our paths cross again in the future. Until then, have a wonderful afternoon and a smashing 2024. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Amit. Nice to meet you. Bye for now.